Welcome to our Middle East briefing program. Today, we delve into the heated exchange involving Vice President JD Vance as he argues that deporting undocumented immigrants could lower housing prices. This statement sparked a fierce heckling during his speech, highlighting the ongoing contentious debates surrounding immigration policies and their impact on the economy. Experts are raising eyebrows, suggesting that the real culprits for high housing prices lie elsewhere. In a fascinating twist on historical exploration, Bradley Walsh, known for his show Egypt's Cosmic Code, initially set out to prove that aliens constructed the Egyptian pyramids. However, his investigation in Egypt has led him to reconsider this theory, as he grapples with the undeniable achievements of the ancient Egyptians. Walsh aims to inspire viewers to learn more about the pyramids and combat the misinformation that often circulates online, with his show set to air on March 18. Meanwhile, the arrest of Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia University has raised serious concerns about civil liberties and the treatment of political dissenters in the U.S. Khalil's detention under accusations of supporting terrorism, despite not being charged with a crime, has sparked widespread condemnation among civil rights groups. This case highlights the alarming intersection of immigration enforcement and political activism, as many fear it sets a dangerous precedent for free speech in America. Please stay tuned for more detailed content. The Independent reports on a heated exchange involving Vice President JD Vance during a speech at the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C. Vance claimed that deporting millions of undocumented immigrants would lower housing prices, sparking outrage from a heckler in the audience. In a combative response, Vance argued that the administration's immigration policies are aimed at making life more affordable for Americans. However, experts dispute the connection he made between immigration and housing costs, attributing high prices more to local zoning regulations and energy costs rather than the presence of undocumented immigrants. The Trump administration's intensified deportation efforts have raised concerns about the impact on various communities, including U.S. citizens and those with humanitarian status. The Independent also highlights Bradley Walsh's new Sky History program, Bradley Walsh, Egypt's Cosmic Code, where he initially sought to prove that aliens built the pyramids. However, after visiting Egypt and learning about the history and construction techniques of the pyramids, Walsh found it difficult to dismiss the contributions of ancient Egyptians. He shared insights from expert guides about the evolution of pyramid construction, emphasizing the trial-and-error process involved. Walsh's journey reflects a broader exploration of historical truths, as he encourages viewers to seek knowledge firsthand rather than relying on speculative online narratives. The Independent covers the Trump administration's crackdown on campus activism, particularly following the arrest of Columbia University protest leader Mahmoud Khalil. Trump warned that Khalil's detention would be the first of many, as the administration targets what it labels as anti-Semitic behavior among students. Khalil, who is a legal permanent resident, was arrested under controversial circumstances, with claims that his student visa had been revoked. Civil rights advocates have condemned the arrest as an authoritarian attempt to suppress free speech, drawing parallels to repressive regimes. As protests in support of Khalil emerge, the situation has ignited a fierce debate about the intersection of immigration enforcement and political dissent in the United States, with calls for the administration to reconsider its approach to student activism. BBC, Sir Keir Starmer has characterised the current benefits system in the UK as unsustainable, indefensible, and unfair, urging the government to take responsibility rather than ignore the issue. During a meeting with Labour MPs, he highlighted that the welfare system discourages work while burdening taxpayers with escalating costs. The upcoming changes to the welfare system, spearheaded by Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall, have stirred unease among party members, with some warning against harsh cuts that could drive vulnerable individuals, including the disabled, further into poverty. Starmer emphasized the need for a fair balance, stating that if people can work, they should be incentivized to do so, while also ensuring that those in need receive adequate support. Australian Broadcasting Corporation, in a significant development, Syria's interim government has reached an agreement with Kurdish-led forces to integrate their autonomous administration into the Syrian state. The deal, signed by interim President Ahmad al-Shara and Kurdish leader Maslam Abdi, aims to unify civil and military institutions in northeastern Syria, which has been under Kurdish control since 2014. This region played a crucial role in the fight against the Islamic State, receiving support from the U.S. However, the agreement faces challenges, particularly from Turkey, which views the Kurdish forces as a terrorist threat. The deal has sparked celebrations among local residents, who hope it will bring an end to ongoing conflicts and ensure their rights within the Syrian political framework. Associated Press, Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey is pursuing a bold strategy to collect a $24.5 billion judgment against China related to the COVID-19 pandemic, threatening to seize Chinese assets across the U.S. The lawsuit, claiming that China hoarded personal protective equipment, has been met with skepticism from legal experts who doubt the feasibility of such actions. While Bailey heralded the ruling as a victory, critics argue that the likelihood of successfully collecting damages from a foreign government is slim. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has dismissed the lawsuit and indicated it does not recognize U.S. jurisdiction in this matter. The situation raises complex questions about state authority to sue foreign nations and the potential diplomatic ramifications of Missouri's aggressive stance. CNN reports that Syria's interim government has struck a significant agreement with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, to integrate them into state institutions, marking a pivotal moment in the country's ongoing transformation. Interim President Ahmad al-Shara emphasized that the agreement aims to ensure representation and participation for all Syrians, regardless of their ethnic or religious backgrounds. This deal is particularly crucial for the Kurdish community, which has historically faced discrimination and denial of citizenship under the Assad regime. By incorporating the SDF, a powerful force in northeastern Syria, the interim government seeks to stabilize the region and prevent further sectarian conflict following the ousting of Bashar al-Assad. The implementation of this agreement is expected to be completed by the end of the year, with executive committees overseeing the process. The Associated Press highlights the United Nations' urgent call to action as 193 member nations confront a growing backlash against women's rights. During a pivotal meeting, the UN adopted a political declaration that stresses the necessity of involving men and boys as allies in the fight for gender equality. Despite acknowledging some progress since the landmark Beijing Women's Conference 30 years ago, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned that women's rights are under siege, with alarming statistics revealing that 1 in 3 women globally has experienced violence. The declaration outlines concrete actions to close the gender gap, such as promoting women's access to credit and education, and ensuring equal sharing of domestic responsibilities. Guterres urged global leaders to uphold the commitments made in Beijing and to take decisive steps to protect and advance women's rights. In a troubling development, the Associated Press reports that the U.S. has officially withdrawn from the International Climate Loss and Damage Fund, a decision that has drawn sharp criticism from climate advocates. This fund was established to provide compensation to poorer nations disproportionately affected by climate change, a burden they did not contribute to. The Trump administration's withdrawal from the fund, which was initially pledged $17.5 million by the U.S., has been described as a betrayal of environmental justice, particularly for vulnerable communities in the global south. Climate experts argue that this decision not only undermines the U.S.'s commitment to global climate action but also exacerbates the suffering of those most affected by climate disasters. The fund had garnered pledges exceeding $741 million from various countries, highlighting the disparity in commitment to climate justice between wealthier nations and those facing the brunt of climate impacts. Associated Press reports that the arrest of Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil, who organized protests against the Gaza war at Columbia University, has raised significant concerns regarding the protections afforded to foreign students and green card holders in the U.S. Khalil was apprehended by Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agents and is currently detained in Louisiana, facing potential deportation linked to his activism. Critics argue that his arrest reflects an unfair targeting of dissenters under the guise of national security, particularly as President Trump has framed the protests as supportive of terrorism. Legal experts emphasize that while green card holders have certain protections, they can still be deported without a criminal conviction if deemed a threat. The circumstances surrounding Khalil's arrest, including ICE's initial claims about his visa status, suggest possible misapplication of the law. As Khalil awaits immigration court proceedings, the process may be lengthy, with potential delays in the already overwhelmed immigration system. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.